I think most of the time in addressing the big challenges facing our country, both Democrats and Republicans can agree. I think certainly we do about the increasing and unsustainable cost of health care. The difference comes in how to address this, but we have a fifth of the economy in health care expenditures, about $6 trillion, almost $6 trillion, half of which, by the way, is now government expenditures. I think in the 80s it was 70% private, 30% government. Today it's 50-50. A third, if you exclude interest payments, of the federal budget is health care expenditures. And look back in 1975, Jimmy, we were spending $19 billion on health care as a nation. And today it's almost $2 trillion. In 10 years, that will double. And while demographics is certainly one of the mathematic inputs and factors in the cost, it's not the only reason that healthcare inflation is running away from our families, from young families, middle-class families, and beginning to squeeze national priorities like defense and others and drive up a debt that is now, as a percentage of our economic output, greater than we were in during World War II and the aftermath. So to have World War levels of debt and pandemic levels of deficits in relative peace and prosperity is unsustainable and should be unacceptable, quite frankly, to the leaders that representing all parts of this country on this committee. I'll try to be an equal opportunity criticizer for the Democrats' part. My colleagues on the left, they've gone all in with government-run health care. I think the poster child for, quote, affordable health care was Obamacare. I hope after living with that for 15 years, we can all agree that more subsidies, regulations, and mandates, that's not the solution. And simply having health insurance coverage isn't the solution for affordability for working families across this great nation. We've seen deductibles and premiums both double since the advent of Obamacare. I was very disappointed that 17 of my Republican colleagues joined the Democrats to extend what was supposed to be a COVID-era expansion of Obamacare. And it was, according to all the watchdog groups, riddled with waste, fraud, and abuse. So that was a big disappointment. But on the part of Republicans, I don't think we do enough. We do more criticizing of my Democrat colleagues and their failed central planning of the healthcare economy than to not just offer on paper, we've gotten pretty good at that, but to execute on the market-based reforms and free market policies that would, in fact, result in better value for not only the patients and families who are paying for this, but for taxpayers and for future taxpayers. So I hope that with Reconciliation 2.0 being a serious consideration, that we wouldn't let this historic moment pass us by without endeavoring to fix what is broken. And while we reduce taxes and the tax burden on our fellow Americans, and while we reduce spending by twice the amount we've ever reduced spending, $1.6 trillion, and we're seeing results in terms of economic traction, wages are up, interest and inflation down, et cetera, I still think the biggest tax on our families and on our small businesses is the cost of health care. I hope we can also, in this back and forth, there's always the obligatory, we think Obamacare was a failed experiment. They'll have their obligatory political partisan comments. I hope we can talk about the delivery of care and the runaway cost to just the delivery, not the Obamacare market, not the private insurance market, but delivery of care in general. Site neutral, PBMs. There are plenty of big plays to run that I think there is common ground that would make a real difference. I don't want more piecemeal from Republicans. I don't want more half measures from Republicans. Too little, too late. I want bold action in this historic time, because I'm not sure we'll get the opportunity again. If we can work with Democrats, we should, and if they won't or we can't, we should have the courage to go it alone and do the things that we know are going to yield the outcomes that are so desperately needed. With that, I yield to my ranking member.